Good afternoon. I'm Clare Thanhauser, jeweler and gemologist at the MoonTree Boutique. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on taking a natural gemstone crystal and soldering it into a pendant. We'll be breaking it down step by step so you can follow along and see how the jewelry is made. This natural gemstone is called Kyanite. It is a beautiful long blue crystal which lends itself really nicely to making into kyanite pendants. This is a simple project that we're going to do a quick demonstration of today, and we'll be taking the crystal and turning it into a finished pendant. Go. So the first step in this process is taking the natural crystal and adding this copper foil and then burnishing it, and I will review what that means in just a moment. This copper foil is copper on the front and it has an adhesive on the back so that it's sticky. This is the type of copper foil that's used to make stained glass windows. So first I'm going to take my clean crystal, which doesn't have any dust or oil on it that would prohibit the copper from sticking to it. And I am going to wrap the crystal with the copper foil, and everywhere that I want the silver metal to be, I'm going to have to cover in copper foil. The solder, which is the silver metal which I use to create the pendant, will not stick to the stone. It will only stick where the copper has been applied. Back to talking about this. So, Claire, future Claire, who's editing this later. Once I have every surface that I want covered, and I try and do it really tidy and not have any of the little ends sticking out or anything, little naked spots or anything like that. It's nice and tidy. Once I have the copper foil on there, the next step is called burnishing. Now, burnishing is a specialty term that just means you're pressing. I use a wooden spoon. People use different things. Some people use a tumbled gemstone, or they'll use a Sharpie cap. You want something that's a little softer than the stone so you don't hurt the stone. But this process is called burnishing, and it's essentially just pressing the copper as snug to the surface of the crystal as we possibly can. And that ensures that once we cover it in metal, it's not just going to slide over the stone, that it's really married to the contours of the individual crystal. And this is called burnishing. I will see you at the next step in the hot studio. Hi, we're back at my hot bench. This is where I do the soldering with the soldering iron. One of the most important things when you're working with solder at a hot bench is to have proper ventilation. So if you can see, I have several fans set up. I have the windows open and I have the door open. You do not want to be breathing these fumes for an extended period of time. They're not good for your lungs and they smell icky. So next we're going to go over the products that I will be using. We have here our stone, which has the copper foil on it, which we have burnished down. And the way that we apply the solder to the copper foil is with something called flux and something called solder. There's different types of flux. This is the flux that I use, which is a liquid that you have to paint on the copper anywhere you want the solder to run. This is the solder that I use. Solder is a mix of mostly sterling silver, but it also has copper and tin, which lower the melting temperature so that when I apply heat, it liquefies more readily than sterling silver, and therefore I can apply it to the gemstones. You have to be very careful when you purchase this for jewelry that you purchase the lead-free solder. This, as you can see, is silver, copper, and tin. You don't want the type of solder that's for electronics or plumbing which has lead in it, which is not good. You can get lead poisoning. All right, so we are going to do a little demonstration of how to solder. I have to turn the fan on, so it's about to get loud, and I will just drop in, I guess, subtitles. Turning on the fan. All right, and the tighter the better on this. Boop. So, my trusty clothespin, because it gets hot. And I take the solder, that's this. This is this. And I paint it on. Pew, pew, pew. Pew, 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 pew. All right. Everywhere that the solder goes, we want this to go. All right. It's okay. That's just going to fall off so that people see. Oh, yeah. Boom. Next, take because I want solder to be on there, and then bam. Sorry. And that's how we take a regular kyanite crystal and turn it into a kyanite crystal pendant. This solder is now cool and hard and ready to be lightly cleaned. I will show you how to do that in a second, and then your beautiful pendant will be done and ready to wear.
Okay, go.
Okay, so the last step before the pendant is ready to wear is to clean it. When you're done soldering, there's a little bit of a sticky residue that's left on the pendant from the flux that I use. I have experimented with different fluxes and things like that, but this is my favorite one, so I just deal with the stickiness a little bit. So right in here, in my jar, I have 90% isopropyl alcohol. You have to use 90%. The 70% does not clean these very well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Q-tips, is what I use, and I'm just going to rub the stone really vigorously. And I'm going to show you here, do you see that residue, that's dark residue that's coming off? That's exactly what you want to remove. Anywhere you see any discoloration or brown or dullness, the first step is to take this and do a little cleaning. Now you want to keep cleaning until your Q-tip doesn't have anything on it. So you want to keep taking new Q-tips until boom, you know, there's really no discoloration on here, so we know it's ready for the next step. Once we've wiped it down with isopropyl alcohol, the next step is to take a polishing cloth. This one's very dirty because I've been using it for years, but there you have it. And you just kind of rub the polishing cloth on the stone. I'm sorry, on the solder, the silvery part, and it makes it much shinier. And you can see a little bit of residue on the cloth from whatever remaining solder or flux or oxidization is on the metal. And then, boom, nice and shiny, nice and clean. Voila! Our complete kyanite pendant. The end.
Cool.
Thank you so much for watching. Here's the finished project, a beautiful kyanite crystal gemstone. For more natural gemstone jewelry, please check out MoonTree Boutique on Etsy. I'm Clare Thanhauser, gemologist and jewelry designer. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to our YouTube video. We have other tutorial videos, videos on the history, lore, and science of gemstones, a series called Ask a Gemologist, which is very fun. And I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.